Hello, this is Mary Connor, and this is my anthropologist presentation. So oh, for my anthropologist, I chose anthropologist Victor Turner. Victor Turner was born in Glasgow, Scotland in 1920. He then went on to study at University College in London. In 1941, he was drafted into the war in a non-combat position, and so when the war was over, he was able to return to his studies, and he graduated from University College in 1949 with a degree in anthropology. The following year, he started his ethnographic work in Zambia. He studied the Ndembu tribe of Zambia. At the time, this was northern Rhodesia. And as he was there, he focused on rituals and rites of passage. And so a certain ritual that he experienced firsthand was, for example, the elected leader, before being recognized as the leader by the people, would have to spend time acting as a commoner and interacting with the people before he could be recognized as his position. And I will be talking about a couple works that came out of this field work, but another one is the Schism and Continuity in African Society. Also, I'm not sure why the map is not showing, but as you can see on the top left corner, this is in Africa. I'm sure that map is just a little bit smaller. So after his fieldwork in Zambia, he became a professor at many notable universities such as Cornell, University of Chicago, and Stanford University. In 1983, Victor Turner died in Charlottesville, Virginia, so he was only 63 years old when he died. As for his contributions to the work of anthropology, I chose to focus on anti-structure and rituals. Anti-structure is the intentional stray from social structure and social norms, and these are seen in rituals. And so rituals are practiced in order to solidify social order and roles in a community that are already recognized. And this is done through this anti-structure, which is at its most simplest just the opposite of daily life. It's the opposite of what you expect. And so anti-structure is consists of liminality and communitas. Liminality is the transitional location or state of mind as one goes through a rite of passage. And so I like to describe it as like a purgatory as one goes from one social status to another. And so through rites of passage, this can happen with rituals, of course, and there's a point in time where they are stuck between what they once were, their role before, and what their role will be in the future. And so this is liminality. And communitas is the bond of the people. It is community at its truest form. And so a quote I thought really illustrated this was a very concrete and communal, unmediated communication between people, which it is suggested arises spontaneously within groups sharing a similar commitment or position. And so this similar commitment or position, as mentioned in the quote, is this liminality and is this rite of passage that one has to go through within the community that solidifies the bond of the society and allows them to function. Another work a work I studied is The Forest of Symbols. It's a book published in 1967, and what I got out of it, I thought the most important as applied to our studies was the levels of ritual symbols, because I found this was how he applied his ethnographic work, which I found very interesting. And so the levels of ritual symbols that he observed include the first level, which is the observed external form, which is what one sees with the eye. It is what is actually happening. It's the physical act of these rituals or the rites of passage. The second level is the interpretation, and this is done within the society. it is how the society views the symbolism of the observed external form. It's what is the meaning behind this, the physical act of this ritual. And the third level is interesting because it is from the anthropologist's point of view. It is the significance in the context of the society as seen by the anthropologist. And so an example of this would be how the interpretation affects the social order or the community that the anthropologist is studying. It mostly has to do with the anthropologist's work and the society that they're studying and how they perceive these people. And an example that Victor Turner goes into is his example of the milk tree, or the tree of mother and her child. And this is a rite of passage for girls becoming women. And so girls are wrapped up and placed at the bottom of this milk tree, where when the bark is scratched, like a milky white sap comes out. And so this is the observed external form. It is the act of the girls laying down at the bottom of the tree. And so the interpretation of this is the symbolism of the milky sap coming out of the tree represents, in this community of the Ndembu tribe, breast milk. And so this represents the nursing of mother to child, of like raising a child, and it also represents the girl's own breast milk of becoming a woman, of going from girl to woman. And so this is the interpretation by society. It's because their status is changing, which also relates to the significance in the context of society. So Victor Turner watched this rite of passage and saw how this affected the social order of the Ndembu tribe and how this girl's status had changed through this rite of passage. Another book that I also looked at was Dramas, Fields, and Metaphors, published in 1974. And from what I could read of this book, it did have examples of the Ndembu tribe as before, but it was more of an application of vocabulary and concepts to the observed rituals. And so what Victor Turner observed was society is always changing. It is not static. And so in order to apply concepts and vocabulary, he views these as metaphors, because it is applying what is known to the unknown, which is at its simplest form, as he says, what a metaphor is. And so as he studies societies and as other anthropologists study society, what they say about these societies has to be taken in as a metaphor, and how society is always changing. And as they observe societies, they can't truly understand or communicate what they're seeing, because it is all metaphors. It's all unknown to them. And so a specific unknown aspect of the Ndembu tribe that Turner observed was the social dramas of the society of the Ndembu tribe, which were fairly common. And these social dramas arise out of conflict. And so, for example, a conflict would arose, and the tribe would exile a certain number of people. And once this conflict was resolved, they would welcome back the exiled people with a ritual in order to bring back the community in unity. And this is my bibliography. Thank you so much. I hope you learned something about Victor Turner, and stay safe, everyone. Thank you.